When you're a home studio owner and you've spent a few months tinkering with $100 plus budget audio interfaces, the regret that follows can feel oddly familiar. Those cheap units look great on paper, but the moment you try to record a real vocal take or mix an acoustic guitar, the noise floor creeps in, latency spikes, and you're left wondering if you just bought a glorified USB hub. That hesitation is what made me dig into the Apollo Twin X Quad Gen 2 before hitting record, because I needed to know if stepping up to a premium box would actually solve those everyday frustrations instead of just adding a fancier price tag. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Apollo Twin X isn't trying to be a more inputs, more outputs solution. It's a 2-channel, Thunderbolt 3 interface that banks on quality over quantity. If you're the type of creator who records solo singers, a single electric guitar, or does a lot of mixdown work in headphones, this unit lands squarely in the sweet spot. The real draw is the next-generation audio conversion that Universal Audio promises: a dynamic range that's wide enough to capture the subtlest room ambience without a hiss, and a low distortion path that keeps your recordings clean. In practice, that means when I tracked a friend's acoustic piano performance at 24-bit/192 kHz, the silent passages stayed truly silent and the peaks never sounded clipped, even when I nudged the input gain high. What makes the Twin X feel like a smarter buy is the Unison preamp technology. Unlike a standard mic pre that only amplifies, Unison actually emulates the circuitry of classic analog hardware, so when you plug a microphone into the front panel preamp and select, say, a vintage Neve 1073 model, the input stage behaves like that hardware in real time. I tried it on a vocal session with a large diaphragm condenser, and the warmth and slight harmonic coloration matched what you'd expect from a rack-mount Neve, but without the extra rack space or the need to buy the actual unit. It's not a gimmick, the tone change is audible enough that you can choose a preamp flavor on the fly and get a distinct character in each take. The integrated UAD DSP library is another pillar of the Apollo's value proposition. Out of the box you get access to more than 200 plugins, ranging from classic compressors and EQs to guitar amp simulations. Because the processing is handled on the device itself, you can monitor those plugins in real time without taxing your computer's CPU. I ran the classic Teletronics LA2A compressor on a vocal while the track was playing back, and there was zero audible latency. The Analog Classics Pro bundle that ships with this model adds a handful of the most sought-after analog emulations, which is a nice bonus if you were already planning to buy a few of those plugins separately. Now, no product is perfect, and the Twin X has a few hidden trade-offs that become clear once you set it up in a typical home studio workflow. The biggest is the I/O limitation. You only get 2 combo inputs, XLR/ and 2 line outputs, plus a headphone jack. That's plenty for a solo musician, but if you regularly record a full band or need multiple line-level sources, like a drum machine plus a synth, you'll quickly run out of inputs and have to resort to a separate 8 converter or a small submixer. The solution isn't hard, but it adds cost and complexity, which is something to weigh against the quality boost you're getting from the Twin X. Thunderbolt 3 is another consideration. The interface delivers its low-latency performance over this high-speed connection, but you need a computer with a compatible port and a reasonably strong CPU to keep up with the DSP load when you stack several UAD plugins. On an older MacBook Pro I tested, the system handled a couple of compressors and an amp sim just fine, but once I added a full chain of reverbs, delays, and a tape saturation plugin, the CPU started to strain, and the screen showed a slight spike in DSP usage. If you're on a modest laptop, you might need to be selective about how many plugins you run simultaneously. Who should buy the Apollo Twin X? If you're a solo artist, producer, or podcaster who values pristine conversion, the ability to shape tone with real-time analog emulations, and you already have or are willing to invest in a Thunderbolt 3 capable computer, this is a solid upgrade from the generic USB interfaces you probably tried first. It shines in scenarios where you want to capture a single vocal, guitar, or piano with top-tier clarity and then apply classic studio processing without any noticeable latency. It's also a good fit for mixers who spend a lot of time in headphones. The Apollo monitor calibration lets you load room-specific EQ curves so your headphones can mimic how a mix would translate in a treated space. Who should skip it? If you're just getting started and your budget is still in the $100 $300 range, the cost of the Twin X, plus the inevitable need for a Thunderbolt 3 host, may